This is the internet channel for the study of Hegel. And here is your host, Robert Vane.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night, whenever you are listening and watching this. We're going back to the encyclopedia and we're going to read paragraph 507, both in German, both in English, and that will be just the topic of this one video. Instead of making large videos with grand themes, I have the intention of just looking at separate paragraphs for the time being. So let's start now with paragraph 507, which in German is titled, at least the section is titled, Das Gute und das Böse. And let's take a look at the English translation. Then we have goodness and wickedness. Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, das Gute und das Böse. Where are we now in the development of Hegel's thesis? We are now looking at the concept of the good, and the good is nothing less than the highest realization of the concept of liberty, of freedom. The highest realization because it says in the German text, let's take a look, Die Wahrheit dieser Besonderheiten und das Konkrete ihres Formalismus ist der Inhalt des allgemeinen an und für sich seinen Willens, das Gesetz und die Substanz aller Bestimmtheit, das an und für sich Gute, daher der absolute Endzweck der Welt und die Pflicht für das Subjekt, welches die Einsicht in das Gute haben, dasselbe sich zur Absicht machen und durch seine Tätigkeit hervorbringen soll. So, the truth of all these particularities that have been developed before this, and the substance or the most concrete element of this merely formal idea of the good, well-being and the rights and what is morally right, etc. All of that truth and that concrete content is nothing but the content of this universal will that exists in itself and for itself. And so we have here a pretty complete picture, pretty complete concept of freedom whenever we talk about the difference between good and evil. It's also das Gesetz, the law and the substance of all determinacy in the sphere of human freedom. It's das an und für sich Gute, it's the good in and for itself, not just the good relative to me, which is well-being. It's a concept of what we need to do and what in a sense also the world is focused on. That's pretty interesting here. Daher der absolute Endzweck der Welt. The good is the final goal of everything that happens in world history. And to an individual subject, it's duty, die Pflicht für das Subjekt. So the good is both something that belongs to reality, historical reality. It's the final purpose of the world. It's also a duty. It's something that is directed at me, and I have to have, first of all, the Einsicht in das Gute. So I have to understand what the good is, and that's going to turn out to be the problem. I have to make this good to my personal goal, Absicht. I have to really make the good into something that I want to achieve, und durch seine Tätigkeit hervorbringen soll, and by its own activity must produce. So now we have this very general concept of what it means to be a moral subject. It means to be directed toward the good, and the good is not just the good for me, it's the good in itself. It's purpose of the world, it's purpose for me. I have to make it into my purpose. So we have here a wonderful description of the German concept of sollen, or Pflicht, or what I need to do, what I have to do. That's it, and we will see that there is a problem also with this concept of freedom. Before this, we had well-being and right as expressions of freedom. Now, the good is nothing but the synthesis of right and well-being. Well-being is the side of what it means to me and what I have to do and my response to it. And right is, as we have seen, the element of objectivity, what is in a way beyond me, and I cannot extract myself from that without becoming an unrighteous person. So both right and well-being, taken on its own, were not something absolute. They were not the complete expression of freedom. However, in his philosophy of right, Hegel states, the good has an absolute right with regard to the abstract right of property and the specific goals of well-being. So it goes beyond the specific goals of well-being. It goes beyond what I want to do for myself. But it also goes beyond the abstract idea of property. If applied in this abstract manner, also the right of property can become something that is evil in itself. Now, this seems pretty straightforward and it seems pretty absolute, so now we're there. We know what freedom is, but the question will be what we have to do with this element of it. So we have the good, and the good is in line with reality. It's the final purpose of the world. However, there is a necessity for me to do something that will achieve this good. It's merely a sollen, it's merely a duty. So this is the abstract idea of the good, in the sense that the reality of the good still has to be achieved by me. So, although we have the concept of the good as something that is both true in reality and both true for my subjectivity, the truth of the good for my subjectivity is something that I still have to achieve. That is not achieved yet. It's not a reality as such. It's something that I always have to achieve. So there is a specific relationship between my subjectivity and the good that is my duty. I must make it into my own personal goal, and I have to try and realize it. Now that is essential for the concept of the good itself. The good is never simply achieved. It's something that has to be achieved. Without the activity of the subjective will, the good will never become a reality. It would remain an abstraction. So the question is, what is this good? What is this good that I need to achieve? At this stage, remember also this, dat je die Einsicht in das Gute haben, going from singular to plural. So it's dependent upon my understanding of the good. So insofar as I understand what the good is, I can make it into my personal goal, and by my activity then also achieve it. So here is the rub, here's the problem. We know what the good is. It's both reality in an objective sense, Endzweck der Welt, and it is subjective, it goes beyond my personal desires, etc. It's duty for me. However, what is it? That's the first question. Second question, what does it mean that I still have to achieve all that? The good must be the embodiment of my subjective freedom. So I have to understand what I'm doing. It has to be a part of my subjective understanding of the world. But does that encapsulate all that we can say about the good? are we not making the good dependent upon my understanding, upon my decision to make it into my personal goal, and upon my ability to realize it through my own activities? Doesn't then the good become something less than reality, less than historical reality? It becomes merely a figment of my imagination, something that something that only exists in reality, in my mind, in my estimation of what the good truly is. Remember that for Hegel, this kind of a concept like the good is not a Platonic idea that has an absolute reality in itself. It's only there, it's only real when it is produced, when it is realized by the labor of the subject. Okay, so let's take it from there. This is paragraph 507. In the next video we will talk about paragraph 508. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.